Oh, it's loading. And we are live. What it do, YouTube? Thank you guys for tuning back into more Real Talk, where it is what it is. I have a special guest today. We have Miss Uma here. Uma, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I watch your show, by the way, on IG, and I love your whole show. I love your guests. I love the things you guys talk about. It's so up my alley because
Yes.
I'm a CEO of a metaphysical wellness center located in Northern Virginia. It's called the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center. So for the past 15 years, I've been doing exactly what you guys have been talking about, which is like the mindset reset work and
Hmm.
working on people to live their lives with consciousness and to live their lives in alignment with their soul purpose. So I'm very, very excited for tonight's chat.
Yes, yes. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. So, can you tell us the difference between metaphysics and being, you said you're a metaphysical teacher as well?
Yes. Yeah. So metaphysics is, and I'm going to read this. Going to be completely honest and tell you that I did my homework and I wrote things down. So metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that
Hmm.
explores the fundamental nature of reality, existence, and the relationship between things. It seeks to answer questions about the nature of being, the structure of the universe, the nature of time and space, and the mind body relationship. So, as you can tell just from that description, there's so many people that could live in the metaphysical universe, right? And
Right,
have
right.
a role. Like if you're thinking mind body, that could be life coaches, healers, massage
Hmm.
therapists. If you're thinking the abstract concepts, we can have philosophers, theologians, scientists, right?
Hmm.
So there's so much room for people here, but I call myself a metaphysician because I'm somebody who want to understand the deeper aspects of reality and existence. I want to know, like, why are we here? What are we doing? What is this all about?
Hmm.
And I pay attention to the patterns.
Right.
So when you start noticing the patterns and everything, then you're like, wait a minute, I may be
Hmm.
stepping out of real life and I'm stepping more into the vibrational aspects of things.
Can you go deeper into that as far as you're saying, like people aren't intact, like with reality, they're more of stuck like within themselves? Because sometimes I can find myself in that, headspace where you're just really just absorbed in your own sorrow, your own failures. So, what would be like? How can we get out of that and be in touch with reality?
So they had a really great movie that kind of hinted to the fact that we live in a matrix. And that
Hmm.
was the Matrix movies, right? But then
Yeah.
of course Hollywood had to do the Hollywood thing and make it about
Hmm.
aliens and this and
Yeah.
whatever. But it it's kind of like a bit of that reality. So this is the way I like to describe it to people. All right. I'm gonna tell like a little story and I want you guys to follow me. Have you ever been on vacation?
Hmm.
Right? Let's say you wanted to go to Europe. You're American and you wanted to go to Europe. So you buy your plane ticket, you get to Europe. Let's say you go to France
Hmm.
and you get a taxi and you get to your hotel. And then maybe you hired a guide, to take you around France to show you the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre and to eat French food. And it's all a nice experience. But while you're in France, let's say you get mugged. Maybe people were not so nice to you. They were, mean to you.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, you had generally a good time, right? And then you come back home with stories,
Hmm.
lots of stories, and you have photos and videos to support the stories.
Hmm.
That is like a metaphysical view of life on earth.
Hmm.
We're not here for what we think we're here for. We're
Hmm.
souls. And we keep forgetting that we're souls. We keep forgetting that we're literally on a rock that's
Hmm.
floating in space. And the
Hmm.
reason why we forget it is because we created the matrix that we live in. So everything looks so solid. I'm looking at this computer. I'm sitting in this chair in my house. I feel safe, but it's a false sense of safety because
Right.
none of this is real, right? Like this is just all that we made up to give ourselves a sense of safety. But the truth of the matter is We're souls and we came here to have an experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's the memories that we're wanting to have to take with us when we journey on and move on to the next step.
Hmm. What do you think we ever actually discover why we're here? Because there's some people that would say that they know exactly why they're here and they found their purpose and they're connected to it. Um, so do we ever actually figure that out?
I did for myself and I do for my clients because there's certain things you can do. Every metaphysician that you talk to will have a different way of approaching it. I like to do a soul plan reading. And what
Hmm.
I use is the numerology and astrology aspects of a birth chart because I think your birth chart gives you the biggest clue of why you're here. So when someone books me for a soul plan reading, they give me their name on their birth certificate because there's a reason why that name was chosen, and then they give me the details of their birth, where they were born, what time they were born, the date they were born. Because believe it or not, the soul chooses all of these things.
Hmm.
So with those key concepts, I can create a soul plan reading to understand the soul, say the soul of Miranda, not
Hmm.
the soul, not the person of Miranda, the soul of Miranda. Why did you incarnate? What are you here for? What lessons did you want to learn? What experiences did you want to have? And then that
Hmm.
gives me a better idea of like how you should be living your life. Because remember, I do soul alignment coaching. So it's
Hmm.
like life coaching with a spiritual twist, right?
Hmm.
Why are you here? Let's get your life cleaned up. Let's get you living and enjoying this life in accordance to why you came here. So I feel like, yeah, you can find out why you're here and what your purpose is, but different metaphysicians will have different ways of answering.
Of approaching that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, you're saying that there are ways and like practices that we can find out why we're here. Have you ever ran across anyone in your 15 years of experience of someone that felt like there still just wasn't enough conclusion to find out why they're here? Like, are there those people that still get stuck when you feel like you've kind of exhausted all of your resources for them?
Um, yeah, but so there it's very tricky because a lot of the work that I do, it's not accredited, right?
Hmm.
And there really is no clear path forward, which is what I've been fighting for. I've been advocating for, let's have schools, metaphysical schools. Let's have like actual curriculum and courses because like the things that I do, the people that I work with, they're healed, they're whole, they're deprogrammed, they're ascended, they know what they're doing, they have a clear purpose. But then I have met people that kind of pass through my studio, right? These are the people that they're not studying with me, they're not spending years of study, they're just kind of passing through. Maybe they came for like a sound bath or maybe they came for a meditation, and then they have all these weird theories in their head, but that's because they have like no singular focus, and they've been
Right.
talking to a lot of people that calls themselves teachers
Hmm.
that also don't know what they're doing. It's just kind of like the blind leading the blind. So yes, I have
Right.
met people that 10 years after a lot of metaphysical study, they still don't know what they're doing, or where they're
Hmm.
going. That to me is just like a waste of time.
Right, right. And I know one of the words you were using was that they, you have to get them deprogrammed from previous I guess indoctrination, you could say.
Yeah.
Um when we look at just us as a society as a whole, we look at America itself, we are heavily, 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 heavily programmed from day one. I mean, the moment you come out, it immediately starts. And
Yeah.
when you kind of think about that, for me, it can occasionally make me feel hopeless because, as you're saying, people have seen previous metaphysicians in the past, and because of so much bombarded information, it's almost like they're kind of jumbled up in a way. So is there, I mean, and then being aware too, you kind of mentioned, I'm kind of jumping around, but being aware of these things, um, I feel like can cause the issue for why there's so many Americans, why we fall for this programming and we don't even know it. There is a lack of awareness that I can see, which is why I'm glad I'm talking with you and I have my YouTube channel, but there's an extreme lack of awareness of what is actually going into ourselves spiritually. Um, what? Because I mean, it's almost like to be deprogrammed from America, you might as well just like throw everything away, like get off of social media, quit your job, whatever it is. But Hey, we got Matthew in the building. What's going on, Matthew? Um, what would you say, like, what would be your top three tips on just deprogramming from things that are like objectively not going to be conducive to your life, your spiritual being? Because I mean, we're all different people, but I feel like most of us indulge in primarily the same type of things that aren't beneficial. So, what steps could anyone take to come out of this programming and want to be more aware of themselves and actually figure out purpose for their life?
Okay, so I call it dim, DIM, because you want to dim the lights, right, on all
Right.
the programming. So I call it dim because D is for detach.
Mm,
You have to understand that the ploy of the matrix is to always have emotional control over you.
mm,
That's why, like, one of my key cornerstone programs I just created this year is the 4-week emotional intelligence program. To
mm,
me, a person who has emotional intelligence in this world is the ones that are going to make it out the matrix, because you can't your emotions cannot be triggered. So what the matrix does, it seeks to trigger your emotions. So
mm,
when you detach, you got to detach from the social media, the
yes.
news channels,
Mm,
the gossip, the what seems so important right now and is just the main thing. You gotta detach from all of that, because that's not real,
mm-hmm,
right? And I've been saying this for the longest time. Like, if you can get enough of a frenzy from enough people, then it becomes real, because that's based off of the law of vibration.
mm-hmm.
And this planet is run on natural laws, right? So once you learn the natural laws, you start to understand. So that's why that happened. There's no angry God in the sky that's deeming certain people get good luck and certain people get bad luck. It's just natural laws. If you get enough people to believe a thing, then the thing becomes a thing, right?
Right.
So when you detach from all of that hoopla, then you're able to, like, really understand what's real. And remember,
Hmm.
everybody is living on this planet, but we're not all living in the same dimension. So there's
Right.
third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension. The third dimension people believe in right and wrong, good and bad, right? That there
Mm,
must be a duality energy. But then
yes.
the fifth dimension people believe in it's all good. It's all part of the process, and you learn to flow with it. So we could all be here in the same country, in the same state, heck, in the same town, but be so completely different. So that's why
Hmm.
you want to detach from everybody and start learning to turn within. The I is for inquire. You have to ask questions. You have to
Hmm.
start making sense of things. Like, for instance, classic example, just recently we had in America, the dock workers went on
Hmm.
strike,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And that was in Baltimore. I live in Virginia. The people in Virginia lost their mind. Everybody ran and sold out. There was no toilet paper, there was no water, pandemonium, right?
Hmm.
But no
Right.
one stopped to think about the situation. We make toilet paper in America. We bottled our own water in America. We don't have to worry about the strike.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Affecting
Yeah.
the toilet paper, because we make all the toilet paper facilities are in America.
Hmm.
So what people have to worry about, if that strike was to go on for a long time, it would have to be about the goods coming from other countries, right?
Right. Hmm.
So that's why I say I is for inquire, because you have to, like, start asking questions and not just believe the hype. You got to start thinking for you.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then the M is just simply meditate. That's how I get my clarity and my awareness, is every morning before I come here. I'm a social media personality. I'm here, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Meet Me. But before I get involved with other people's energies, I got to know my own energy.
Right. Right.
And the
And
only way I can do that is to meditate.
mhm. And I really like that. I like how the first one is for. I'm sorry, I was trying to take notes here on what you were saying. Yes, I love the first one that is detached, because the first thing that most of us do, when and I've been guilty of it as well, is that when we're starting to feel uncomfortable, or we have these negative emotions, or something happens to where it's not in our favor, we immediately run out to become attached and distracted by something else. And we never actually take the time to sit with ourselves and
Yeah.
inquire, as you're saying, on what is actually going on and what your next move should be. um I mean, we can see that in relationships all the time. I mean, people immediately run out to for drinks or food, sex, whatever the case may be, and I think we get lost in that. I think we get lost in that, and we just kind of what is it? Was it the dopamine that they say, or the serotonin that's releasing your, or it releasing your brain, that causes you to get hooked on these things because you're just wanting to make yourself feel better. Um, I think that is completely disgusting for society, because what have you noticed on your end, by which I'm sure people not wanting to detach? Where does that take you when you can't even do that for yourself?
So when I work with people, because I do a lot of readings, like even now I'm streaming to TikTok and people are coming in, they could see I'm in an interview, but they're asking me questions like, will he call me soon? Will he come back? Is he going through a hard time, or is he done with me? They don't care. They don't care that I'm in an interview and talking about
Yeah.
like existential stuff. They just want to know, is he going to call me or not? Does he still love me or not? But what people don't understand is they're like 32 distractor implants running. That's what Access
Mhm.
would say. Access consciousness is one of the modalities I teach from. And the idea is that there's a lot of distractors that are running. Love and
Mhm.
relationships is the major distractor. And you got to think about it from the point of view of the matrix. If I can get this person so concerned about this other person, they're
Mhm.
not going to live their purpose. They're not going to
Right.
live life with purpose. So let me just keep tying them up and make them believe that a relationship is all you need in life to be happy and that's all you should live for. Done. If there
Mhm.
was such a thing as the devil, which there isn't, but if there was such a thing as a devil, that would be it. Let me
Mhm.
get people distracted with money, with love, with sex, with drugs, with
Mhm.
alcohol, and then they're not going to sit there and want to work on their purpose. So that's why like I use my social media channels to do the readings and do the love
Mhm.
talks and stuff, but I keep slipping it in there.
Mhm.
There's more to life than this. There's more to life.
Right.
And
Right.
and if let's say I have 100 people pass through my streams that day, maybe 10 might hear me. And
Mhm.
then those 10 start to do the work. And that's how I get through to people, because in 15 years, I've done over 15,000 sessions.
Wow.
So I'm contributing to the greater good by
Mhm.
awakening people and reminding people the thing that you think is so important is not important.
Yeah.
You got to think
I
bigger.
I can definitely agree with that, because relationships, people will waste so much of your time, and when you look back, you'll realize you didn't get to accomplish certain things that you had set for yourself, and you're so worried about the next person. Here's what I would have to say to anybody that's over there still wondering about whatever. If you have to sit and wonder if someone is on your side, and if this, usually the answer is no.
No.
Like usually
She just
the answer,
questions in there.
yes, yes. Like usually the answer is no. And it's easier said than done, but turning all of that energy back into yourself is so much more fulfilling. It may feel lonelier than what you've expected, but the fulfillment that comes out of that is just, you know, amazing. I do want to switch gears on one part here. So you were saying, kind of walk me back a little bit when you had mentioned like the devil and there isn't one. Because I think we were talking, but yeah, just walk me back because I'm lost in the sauce.
It's like, I don't knock Christianity or other religions, but you have to look at it from the larger scape again, right?
Hmm.
When we were brought here, when we were put here, when we were born here, however you want to say it, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
You arrived here. And then it is the human nature to have philosophy, right? It is the human nature to want to know what's going on. So in the earlier days, people created religion. And we know that because right now in 2024, there's over 4,000 religions.
Mm-hmm.
But each person in each religion feels that is the only way you're going to get to this made up heaven,
Mm.
right? So I don't believe in religion. I believe in energy. And I don't believe, say, there's a devil or a Satan, but I believe that there is a distracting energy that can pull you off course,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, like the energy of the matrix. So this is where it starts to get a little rocky, because when you
Yeah.
start to say this to people, especially people who've been like, say, a Christian their whole lives, and you can almost put them up in defense, and they stop
Yeah.
listening and they don't want to hear anything else you have to say. So that's why I tend not to have that conversation with a lot of people, because it doesn't matter. Religion, if you are living a religious life, that's good, because religion generally teaches you some good things, like
Yeah.
kind to one another, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, love your God with all your heart, Philippians 4:13. So there's many beautiful things in all the scriptures, whether it's the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Tao or the Bible. There's many
Mm-hmm.
beautiful things in all of those religious books about how to live appropriately. What I
Yes.
don't like about religion is the other side of it, the judgment, the harassment.
Mm-hmm.
I get harassed a lot by Christian people about what I believe. And I'm thinking to myself, but isn't your avatar Jesus? And didn't he preach acceptance?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Jesus hanging out with a hooker? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to like think about this from that point of view. But I personally feel like religion is restrictive,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps people bonded. So once you're again bonded, you can't really
Mm-hmm.
figure out what you're here to do, because you're always going to have that fear of retribution.
Yeah, fear of like basically rejection from your own community in that sense, which that is definitely wrong. I like all things. I'm personally Christian, but I love to hear about just what else is out there. I did has it been 2 weeks now? I think it might be about 2 weeks ago now. I did a live on karma, which is more so derived from like the dharmic traditions, the Hindu texts, the Rig Veda, and all of that stuff, and it was great. It was great. It's a book, The 12 Laws of Karma by Manhardeep Singh, or Singh, might be saying that wrong.
Thing.
Singh. But for the sake of argument, so like, would you say there is more so of a, because when we mention the matrix is more so using like a negative connotation of something that's pulling you away, a distraction, something that's kind of blinding you in a way. Could we say that something like the Matrix could be a representation of darkness, the devil, and blah, 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 the dark stuff? And
Yeah.
then, mhm,
So here's the thing, like, because of the nature of the planet we live on, we live in a three-dimensional space, right?
mhm,
So on this planet, one of the natural laws is the duality law, which
yes,
pretty much says you have to have light to have dark, good for
yeah,
bad, right? Like all that kind of stuff. So coming to this planet, there has to be the positive and the negative. I
right,
don't think of the Matrix as anything evil or scary or anything like that. I just think of it as the opposite. So,
right, okay,
right. So, purpose, moving forward, Matrix, moving backwards, right? Like, that's the way I look at it. I don't think of anything negative or evil. But that's
hmm,
why I said, like, the older religions were born out of fear. And you
hmm,
have to understand, like, people really need to go back to the history of the earth when, say, Islam was formed. Islam was formed in war. Christianity was formed at a time when people were very fearful because they didn't know what was going on. You have your crops, and then one night it's all wiped out by a bunch of locusts. Oh, I
hmm,
must have done something bad. That's why the crops were wiped out. Not the scientific, theory of the locusts were doing their journey and they were passing through. You know what I'm
hmm,
saying? So
yeah,
that's why I say like science is so helpful, because science starts to explain the phenomenon that we originally thought were curses from
hmm,
beings that were bigger than us and stronger than us. So the fear factor starts to cut down. And that's why it's so strange to me that with all the knowledge out there, there's still people living with that fear mindset. And I'm like, but we don't need to live like that anymore. Look, we have the internet on our phones. We can read, it's all available to us. Back then you couldn't, there was a lot of people that were illiterate because they didn't have the convenience or the qualifications to go to school. Women couldn't go to school. Men had to women. So there's been so much change, but I don't think people want to take advantage of all the changes and to do what they need to do to educate themselves. They rather live in the fear base, And I had this discussion one time on a panel, and a woman was coming at me because I used to be Christian.
She was mad. She was mad.
And she knew me. She was part of my church. And she felt like Jesus didn't love me anymore. And she felt like, I abandoned, and I said, but I said, let's look at this from a bigger perspective. You're Christian, right? And your parents are Christian and your grandparents are Christian. So you didn't choose Christianity. Christianity was bestowed upon you. Congratulations. Now, I was born to a Hindu father who is agnostic. He doesn't believe in religion.
Okay.
My mom is Muslim, and they sent me to Anglican church. I grew up and was baptized, confirmed in the Anglican faith, which is like when they had Catholicism, and then King Henry VIII broke away from Catholicism, and he formed the Church of England, which is Anglicanism. So I grew up with all the religions. And I told her, I said, I can't be in a religion that literally tells me all the people I love will go to hell because they don't believe in Jesus. Or they don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. I said, that does not sit well with me because I'm not like you. I was not born into one religion. And I have my brother married a woman that was Baha'i, and I have Rastafarian friends. So when you have all these people who are good people that are just living their life and doing good, and then you're being told that they're going to go to hell because they don't believe in Jesus, that's very, very wrong.
So do you think people should make it to heaven based on quotation marks let's say to the better land? Do you think that it's more so of by doing good works that will get you there?
I don't believe in a heaven. I believe that when we all pass away, when we all die, we do go to the other side. And the other side, there's different levels to it. And you go to the level based on your awareness. So we have baby souls, and then we have advanced souls. And advanced souls are the ones who did the work. They kept meditating and tuning in, getting the knowledge for themselves, not having to depend on other people to give them the knowledge. How do I know the knowledge that I have is right? Because when I sit in my classes and I talk just like this, the way I'm talking to you, people would say to me, did you read this book? Did you hear about this guy? Did you learn from this teacher? I know none of these things, but yet whatever I'm saying resembles what is being said in that book by that teacher in that class. How is that possible? It's possible because once you're tuned in and you start to, meditate and just clear everybody else's opinions out, and then you start to gain more awareness, not just about yourself, but about life and about people. And you start to see patterns and you start to gain that knowledge, and then you start to understand how everything works.
So the advanced souls, because like you gotta be going right now. I'm locked in. I didn't know. I'm locked in. Like I said, I didn't even have a specific layout. I didn't know where we were going with this. I'm just like, we just gonna get on here and we're gonna do it. But
go down the rabbit
hole. And that's exactly what I'm like. Nosedive. But so the advanced beings or the advanced souls, like, who would create the souls though? Like, wouldn't they need to be guided? Like, I understand they're the advanced, but wouldn't there have to be an ultimate singular creator to make this branch and tree? Because everything is connected, which is something that's in the law, one of the 12 laws of karma. that everything is connected in a way. And I feel like, when we look at like just look at a family structure or any type of structure, most things are in the shape of a pyramid. There's something at the top, and then there's two that comes together, and it just continues to branch off. So with all the souls that we have here, all of the talents, all of the different purposes that we have to discover, would there not be like an ultimate guide or an ultimate decision maker? Well, I don't want to say decision maker because that's going to take us the wrong way. An ultimate, just an ultimate creator that we branch off from. So it's like a singular soul that branches out into a multiplicity of souls, which is us. So wouldn't we have something that's guiding us or pushing us? Because it's almost like a pull. Life is kind of like a push and pull. So you're always moving, whether you feel like it or not. We're always evolving into something. So these advanced souls, would there not be an ultimate creator for this advanced soul that's giving you the knowledge?
Yeah. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Because we're going to go there.
Uh-oh.
When you go to the ocean, you see the vast ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to take some of that ocean with you and you put it in a jar or in a glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the ocean in the glass,
Mm-hmm.
but the ocean is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the source, whether you call it God or the universe or goddess, whatever you want to call it by,
Right.
it is source. And source is in each of us. And then we also have our distinct personality outside of source. That's why we say we have our ego
Mm-hmm.
and our higher self. Our ego is involved with the day to day. I got to do the laundry. I got to go to work. I want to buy those sneakers. And the higher self is the part of source residing in you. And that's why all of religions seek to get people to operate and live from that higher self.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people wonder why. Why is this way? There's many theories about that. One of the theories out there that I really liked is that there was source, and source is just source, but there's nothing for source to do because it's just existing.
Mm-hmm.
So source decided to cut pieces of itself off and put it into the bodies so that it can experience different things and have the experiences. So think of like a big blob in the universe, and then this blob cuts off a little bit and puts it into you and then puts it into me. And now I'm a serial killer and you're Mother Teresa. Right? And the whole time we're playing these roles, and source is receiving the feedback. Source is understanding more about things through the experiences that we have. That's why we say there's no right or wrong or good or bad. It's just is. It's just experiences. And no one should have a higher energy than anybody else. You can't be here and look down on somebody because they're a single mom with 6 kids by 6 different baby fathers, because in another lifetime, in another experience, you had 20 kids with 20 baby daddies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were all playing these roles. And that's why it's so important to understand, like, it's all experiences. It's about the experience. So yeah, there is a higher being, a source. I call it source because like I said, I don't believe in a being. I believe in energy.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of like materialism. I was kind of like looking into that as far as like things that just are. It's not really more or less, it just is. So we're kind of like going back between, dualism and materialism. But so since we're here and the sources we're having these experiences, and our experiences are being basically connected back to the or understood by the source, what would be the purpose of our experiences in life? Because we have traumatic experiences, we have good experience. Honestly, you have more negative experiences in life than you do good. You know what I mean? Um, it's just, it kind of is what it is. I hate to think of it that way, but that's just the reality of life, is that you're going to have more negative experiences. So if we're kind of here and just to experience, what would be the purpose of like sorrow and pain and rejection? Because these things can cause a lot of internal questioning, confusion about who you are as a person. You can feel like you have these concepts down, but as life gets going, sometimes you can question your own existence. And you know, if we're kind of just existing and there's not technically a good or bad, then what would be the purpose of our suffering?
So whoever you talk to is going to have a different answer, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
My answer is the purpose of the suffering is to realize that you're in control of the suffering. And you're in control of the suffering because you can change the way you think about what you think you're suffering from.
Hmm.
Because no one really suffers. It's how we think about it, is how we see it, is what makes us suffer.
So the
So there,
mind.
it's the mind. It's the
Hmm.
mind. So there's a difference between pain and suffering.
Hmm.
Pain is going to happen. Suffering is optional. And the Buddhists say that.
Mm.
Pain is here, pain happens, but suffering is our choice. So case an example, let's say you're dating a guy and you're so in love with this guy because he's doing all the right things and all the nice things, and then guy breaks up with you. Guy starts dating me, right?
Hmm.
You're going to go into suffering because your perspective at that time is going to be, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, she's worthy, she's good enough. And then you can go further down your suffering by actually quantifying it. Oh,
Hmm.
he's with her because and I'm just making up stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's with her because she's Indian. Look at her hair. It must be the hair. So now that could like set a frenzy in you, and then you could stop going natural and start wearing wigs. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But
Yep.
like we dig further and further and further down, and the more we dig down, creating separation, the more our suffering continues. Now, switch to another personality. Let's say guy dated you, guy broke up with you, guy started dating me. If you were a person to say, well, I'm glad he broke up with me because him and her look very happy together. So I
Hmm.
guess that's this person and that's her person. And I'm so glad that me and him ended so quickly, like 3 months in, because I would have hate for us to been together 30 years and realize we're
Hmm.
not meant to be together. And now we got kids and a mortgage.
Right.
So I'm glad for them. I hope that it works out for them. Let me reset my energy and put myself back out there and see who else is out there, because clearly I haven't met my person. You see
Hmm.
the difference in the energy? How
Hmm.
we approach things and how we look at things is our growth. And then eventually we're supposed to get to that place where nothing bothers us because we begin to understand like things are going to happen, but our sufferings depend more on ourselves and how we look at that thing.
Yeah, I do definitely agree with that as well, because your mind can really start to take you to a lot of places when your emotions do get out of control. So would you say that to control that, it's really just about controlling your mind?
That's why my tagline for my business is unleash your mind, unleash your world.
Hmm.
Because once you begin to understand everything is set up to trigger you. And if you can just say to yourself, I'm not going to be triggered anymore, there is a
Hmm.
path you can take. The yogis talk about this. It is the path of least resistance. That's the
Hmm.
win. That's the way I live my life. Oh, they want to take my house? All right, let me start packing up. Oh, they want to take my man? Okay, have him. Let me just go ahead and go through my grieving process. Oh, they want to take
Hmm.
my leg? Let me learn how to walk on these crutches. Like once you start learning, because I live the yogic lifestyle, I'm a yogini, right? I follow the 10 principles, yamas and
Hmm.
niyamas. So one of those things is taking the path of least resistance. And it's just saying, whenever things happen to you, accept it. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Receive it because it's actually a blessing. You just can't
Mhm.
see it, you know?
Do you, so you don't, so do you think, because sometimes things can happen as well. What do you think of like when people are trying to speak things like over your life? Um, and you kind of begin to go down that path. We could use like a being in a relationship with someone and they're kind of always throwing little jabs here and there and they're speaking down on you. Would what how should you react in that situation? Because I think it's easier said than done when our emotions are involved and there's something that's coming forth into our lives, and a lot of us don't want to accept it because it's tragic and we look for every which way possible to avoid it. Are you kind of saying like we should just, do you just allow anything to like anything, or do you just accept anything, or you combat the negative that comes your way?
I like when people trigger me, because when
Hmm.
people trigger me, it shows me parts of myself I still have to work on.
Hmm.
Because the truth is, the water can't get in if there's no hole.
Hmm.
If you have a boat on the ocean, it floats. The
Yeah.
only way it sinks is if there's a hole in the boat and then the water gets in. So if you're with somebody and they're saying the worst things to you or doing the worst things, it's not them, it's you. Because you got to be so solid within yourself that it doesn't matter what people say to you, good, bad, or ugly. It shouldn't have any effect on you because you know you. You know,
Hmm.
that's why, like, I'm a stream mentor. You know, I mentor people in how to do live streaming because I'm on
Hmm.
an app where I'm a talent partner. So I coach people and I tell them all the time, do not stream if your boat has holes in it because
Yeah.
you're gonna get a lot of trolls. I'm sitting here right now and there's people, oh, you're so fat. Oh, that double chin.
What?
I don't care because
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's social. Like even, when I do a Mingo show,
Hmm.
there's like a lot of men in there that have issues with the things that I say. I don't care, because you guys, nobody's going to silence me from talking
Right.
because there could be 97 people out of 100 people that don't like what I'm saying. And there's 3 people who understand what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So I'm not speaking to the 97, I'm speaking to the three, you know?
Right.
I've always lived my life like that on social media because I say very outlandish things because I don't think like a lot of people. I think
Hmm.
differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's, yeah. On. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, and it doesn't even matter to me because somebody might say, well, yeah, you think slower, like you're slower than the rest of us. Okay. Okay.
Hmm. Right.
Doesn't bother.
So it's really taking back the power in your own hands, because it is easier in life when you have more control of your emotions and people say stuff and it just kind of rolls off of your back. um, I would kind of say that that's like a you have mental strength, um, which is good. That is really good. I think a lot of us are weak minded because we don't feed ourselves, as and doing the things that you were mentioning earlier about detachment and kind of inquiring and just really having that self meditation. None of us do that. um, we're easily
Yeah.
triggered. Half of those guys are like 40 years old, still mad at their mom about something that happened when they were in middle school. So, but good. Wow. We've been on here for 43 minutes. I think we can kind of cut it here. I'm trying to see what else we went. That was good. I have a lot of stuff I want to go read up on. Definitely gonna watch more of your show. I just like I'm just now finding out that I'm interested in metaphysics because this whole time of my life, I'm like always thinking about the purpose of life. I get into a little bit of science, not a pro or at any of it, but I love philosophy. I like that's my entertainment. Like I'll pop back a drink and some shots, and I'm putting
Yeah.
on a documentary, something educational because it just gets me going. So I love the fact that I've partnered with you on this because it won't be the last, and I'll
Oh,
have
that would be
more. Oh yeah, we gotta because this topic is just so huge. It's
It's
huge.
huge. It's huge. And for you, what you're going through now, like me as a metaphysical teacher, I would say you're probably having a spiritual awakening because that's
Mhm.
when people come to me, is when they're like usually in their 30s to 40s, sometimes 50s, and they've done the world thing, had the job, make the money, buy the house, get the kids, get married, whatever their thing is. And then they're like, but I still feel empty or I
Mhm.
still have questions. That's
Yeah.
what we see is the start of the spiritual awakening. So you're in a good place. Keep reading, keep learning. That's what I did. Like I would go 3 days without sleeping. I was reading so much and learning so
Oh
much
my
and
God.
absorbing. Yeah, because and then especially when you start meditating and then you start getting these other things coming in. Like
Hmm.
I'm not a master soul, like I told you, there's the advanced souls. I want to be an advanced soul, but I'm nowhere near there yet because let's be clear, guys, there's people on this planet who are advanced souls that have gone beyond the natural laws. They can float in the air. They can manifest things at will because they have gone beyond what the natural laws are. I
Hmm.
have an understanding of the natural laws. I have an understanding of the matrix and I can pull out from the matrix and not get
Right.
distracted. But I'm not there yet where I can go beyond the laws. And that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, there's just speaking of this, this is totally random, but I watched this other lady online. She doesn't do what we do. Her name's Princella, the Queen Maker, but she refers to something called Maslow's hierarchy, and
Of need.
that the highest position you can get, I believe, is she calls it self actualization,
Yeah.
and she was saying that once you get there, man, like life is just smooth
Well,
sailing.
I'm there with the
Yes.
self-actualization, but it goes beyond Maslow's hierarchy because
Mm.
Maslow's hierarchy was about human nature,
Mm.
but then
Okay.
there's the spiritual nature. So where Maslow's, top of his pyramid ends, self-actualization,
Hmm.
imagine there's an inverted pyramid on top that now is the beginning of the spiritual climb. And that's where,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Wow. This is awesome. Can't wait to post this. I'm posting some clips probably tonight, tomorrow. But let me see.
Tag
Was
me in
there?
all of them and I will repost them too.
Oh Lord, I didn't even see. Matt, I had my notes up. I didn't see you, Matt. Is majority of the women into this or men?
Women,
Um.
mostly women. Yeah, the majority of my classes, like if I have say 40 people in the class, it'll be 3 men and 37 women. Yeah.
Okay. And then he said, what study or book does your mindset come from?
The Book of Life. I've read a lot. I've read extensively, but the biggest knowledge that comes to me comes from my meditations, my dreams, my visions, those things where it's not written, it's channeled, because that's what in metaphysics, there's different kinds of healers. There's the healers, the psychics, the mediums, the shamans, the
Hmm.
channelers. I'm a channeler. I have clear cognizance and clairvoyance and clairsentience as my clairs.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I just like before we in here, and I'm just rambling. What was I about to say? So like for me, so like I said, I'm Christian. Been Christian pretty much my whole life, but I have let's just say I went off on the deep end a couple of times. Let's just say I'm not no saint.
Yeah.
Please, by any means, don't ever think I'm a saint. But I do what I can with what I know is right or wrong from the book and what God has to say. And I feel like the Lord is revealing my purpose to me in a way. Um, it's just I have more questions about the specific route I should take because I'm tired of wasting time. I'm 28. I want to really lock it down. You know what I mean? My birthday will be here in March, so I'm like, time is ticking, time is ticking, and yeah, I think I'm walking because so the thing here with like the Christian world is like finding out your purpose is more so about like line upon line. It's not like he's going to give you like, oh, this is exactly what you should be doing. It's more so of a following him blindly, as they say. You don't
Yeah.
really necessarily have a direction of where you're going, where the end goal is. You may have like a vision or feeling of it, but it's not like a concrete understanding. You just kind of have to blindly trust him, which is why, he tells you to seek him more, blah, 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 all that stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do, trying to get more serious about it and kind of like just really, align myself with my faith and see what else God has out here for me. But I've always taken a serious interest in other religions, science, physics, metaphysics, the laws of nature, like all of this stuff that's out there. I'm like, man, this stuff is interesting because even just going back to it, so much of it really does align with the book. And I'm like, these are two opposite ends of the spectrum. So I just love being able to look at all of it. I'm not one of the people that you can't have those conversations with because trust, my whole family is kind of like that. Well, me and my brother and sister are. We like to hear about these kinds of things and just kind of expand our knowledge. Knowledge is power.
It is, and there's nothing wrong with like just having conversations. That's what I tell
Yeah.
people, because let's say you go around the whole world and you learn about all the different religions and all the different things, and then you decide, I'm going to stay a Christian. That's
Hmm.
it. That's like the point. You know, we're not all here
Right.
to follow the same path. So you just
Hmm.
got to trust what feels good. The way I make it through is I pay attention to what makes me feel good.
Hmm.
So from my experience in religion, it didn't make me feel good because because I was Muslim, I was Hindu, I was Christian,
Yeah.
I was Buddhist, I was, doing all of those things. And it didn't make me feel good because there was always division. And my
Yeah.
nature is community, right?
Hmm.
'Cause we each, remember, we're from the God source. So we each have like that primer on our soul. What
Hmm.
like you have, that's what you're finding out is what is your prime, what is your thing? My thing is community. So I can't, by law of nature, I cannot subscribe to any one religion because it will invariably keep other people out.
Put you in a box.
Right. And my goal here is unity,
Hmm.
right? So I have to sorry, my TikTok. I
No,
have
you're
to
good.
I have to like not subscribe to anything because okay, there's one of the yamas and niyamas one of the yamas principles in yogic discipline is um ahimsa, which was the vow Mahatma Gandhi took, the vow of nonviolence.
Mm.
So people think of violence as hurting somebody physically, but you can hurt people through many different ways, mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually, and whatever. So me subscribing to a religion that hates other people from other religions, that's violence.
Right.
You see? So I can't live that kind of life.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's deep. That's deep. Well, where can we find you on all social media platforms? Uma.
everywhere. I'm gonna drop my link tree in the comments because the thing is I am on here, the Lotus and the Light on YouTube, and
Hmm.
I'm on TikTok, Uma B111. I'm on Instagram, the Lotus and the Light, or Uma B1111. So I'm just, but if you go to my link tree that I just dropped there, oh, it
Hmm.
said an error. I think that was on the Facebook.
Oh, well, I see both of them on my end.
So that would be the best way to get a hold of me. Or my IG is right here, the Lotus and the Light. You can get a hold of me there. But I just really like to kind of remind people that if something isn't working in your life, there's so many choices, and
Yeah.
you just find the one choice that's right for you, regardless of what people say or think. You know,
Yeah.
once it doesn't cause harm to you or another person, it's good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Y'all better write these facts down from Uma. Because I know you're one of them that's distracted, and the first D is detached. So tune in to what Uma is talking about, guys. It's gonna be more on the way. Thank you guys for tuning into more real talk, where it is what it is, and we are out. Yay.